I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon and The Blackest Heart, published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. You can see the book sitting there over on the table. Today's video, we will not be doing any writing advice. We will not be doing any book reviews. I will be ranking my favorite REO Speedwagon albums from first to last, or last to first, however you want to do it. Before I get started, though, I just want to give a shout out to the REO Speedwagon guys. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for just writing, recording, and producing such great songs and such memorable songs that have meant so much to me throughout my life. I know REO Speedwagon takes a lot of heat from the music critics and the music snobs as being just sort of this schmaltzy 80s ballad band. But every fan of REO Speedwagon knows that they are much, 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 much more than that. They are a hard-rockin', hard-working, Midwestern blue-collar band that, man, they really put in the work, and they really got some great albums and music over the years, starting from the early 70s all the way up until today. Even a Christmas album at one point they put out. It was a great album. It's not going to be on this list, but everything else will be on this list. So let's get started, me ranking their albums from kind of the ones that I didn't like the most to the ones that I love. And I will be talking a little bit about some of the songs and some of the history of a little bit of these albums as we go along. I will try not to make the video too long, but let's get started right now. Lost in a Dream. Probably the one that I listen to the least. It's the lead singer is Mike Murphy, kind of not very rememberable songs, unrememberable. Not sure what the word is there, but I never remember the songs. So it probably is going to be the first one that goes. The next one is This Time We Mean It. Probably my favorite cover for any of their albums. I've even got a t-shirt over there with this cover on it. I love it. I love this cover. However, the album, maybe not so much. There is a kind of a bluesy feel to it. They've got a song called Reelin' and a few others that I like. Mike Murphy, again, is the lead singer on this. Decent album, not my favorite. Let's talk about their very first album that they ever did. It's got the picture of the REO Speedwagon right there on it, the fire truck that they named their band after. This one's a good album. Very first album they put out, man, this thing rocks. Riverside Avenue, one of their main staples in concert. I love that. Kevin Cronin and the guitar talking to each other. That's just fantastic. Lay Me Down, another catchy tune. Now this one was originally, the original singer was Terry Luttrell, not Kevin Cronin. Kevin Cronin comes in a little bit later, but this is a great album. I like their very first one quite a bit. Let's talk about Riding the Storm Out. Another great album. Again, not a Kevin Cronin one. This one's got Mike Murphy again on vocals. Son of a Poor Man, the Gary Richrath penned tune, Son of a Poor Man, one of my favorites. Of course, the all-time classic rock classic, Riding the Storm Out. Can't forget that. Now, Mike Murphy sung on this, but Kevin Cronin made the song Riding the Storm Out famous on their live album, and we'll get to that in a second. Good album, good album. Good job, guys. So now we've got all the albums out of the way where Kevin Cronin did not sing. And that's when I start liking REO Speedwagon a lot more, is when Kevin Cronin joins the band and becomes the lead singer. So let's go with just the simply titled REO, with probably the lamest cover they've ever had. I just don't like that. It's like REO branded onto a cow. Whatever, what you gonna do? This is Kevin Cronin. This is the second album that Kevin Cronin sang on after he took a break from the band for a little bit. But this has got some classics like I Believe Our Time Has Gonna Come, Any Kind of Love. Those are catchy tunes. The Flying Turkey Trot. Gary Richrath did the Flying Turkey Trot and the Flying Tuna Trot. They were just instrumentals, fantastic instrumental. Keep Pushing. The song Keep Pushing. Probably my least favorite REO song. Keep Pushing, and they play it in every concert I've ever been to. I've been to like 10 or 12. Don't like the song. Sorry, guys. I like most everything else you did. Keep Pushing ain't for me. But it's on this album, and it's a good album. Now let's talk about the very first album Kevin Cronin ever sang on, which was REO TWO. Kevin Cronin, before he joined this band, he kind of had a clever idea. He wanted to be in a rock band, and he just kind of he decided he would be his own agent, and he created a music agency where he would have people call him and And he would say, yeah, I'm the biggest music agent in Chicago. I can get you any musician you need. And they'd say, yeah, we need a guitar player. And so he himself would go do the gig. Or if they needed a singer or a piano player, whatever, he would just go do it. But he pretended like it was this huge agency with a lot of different people involved, but yet he'd answer every call himself. And that's how he got the gig with REO Speedwagon. They said, we need a singer. And he's like, I've got the perfect guy for you. And he went and did the audition, got the job. REO TWO, I love this album. It's got Golden Country, one of the greatest live songs they do. Just a classic rock song with a great message. It's just fantastic. And Music Man, that's another one they play live a lot, is Music Man. Just one of my favorite albums, REO TWO. The first one that Kevin Cronin did. Great job, Kevin. Now let's talk about their live album, which I listened to a ton as a kid. I loved this. There are so many great songs on this. Like many of the ones I just mentioned, this live album is from their classic years, where we've got Golden Country, Music Man, Riding the Storm Out, 157 Riverside Avenue, Keep Pushing, Summer Love, Son of a Poor Man. All the ones I've listed, this is a live album. I dug this album as a kid. It was the first live album I ever owned, and I just liked it a lot. So now we're getting up to some of the one of my more favorite ones. Building the Bridge. This one was an album they put out kind of in the mid to late 90s, I believe, when kind of the popularity of the bands like REO Speedwagon and Journey and Foreigner had sort of kind of tapered off due to the advent of grunge and stuff. And let's just take a moment of silence for the death of rock and roll that Nirvana and the death of and the advent of grunge caused. They killed it dead. And some of the songs on here, had REO Speedwagon remained relevant, or if any of these bands had remained relevant after grunge killed it, there's a lot of hit songs on here that never got to be hits. Like Building the Bridge itself, the main track is a great song, should have been a top 10 hit, but never got the chance because grunge that up. This is a great album. Life as We Know It. Man, when I first heard the first single on this song, That Ain't Love, I thought that's a cool song. That Ain't Love by REO Speedwagon was a cool jam back in the day. And of course, we've also got In Your Dreams, the soft ballad that was pretty good, and Variety Tonight. What are some of the other ones? Can't Get You Out of My Heart, New Way to Love, One Too Many Girlfriends, Tired of Getting Nowhere. There was a lot of good songs on this. This came out in about 1988 or in 89 or 87. 87, I think. It was a great album. I listened to this one to death. I love it. The Earth, A Small Man, His Dog, and a Chicken. Had this album come out in the early 80s, I guarantee you it had 10 top 10 hits on it. But instead, it came out in the early 90s. We've already discussed grunge and my disdain for it, but this album has got some of the catchiest hooks that REO Speedwagon has ever written. Halfway. I love that song, Halfway. Can't Lie to My Heart, Lovin' the Future, All Heaven Broke Loose, The Heart Survives, Love is a Rock. These are all hits had they just come out 10 years prior. Great album. I really liked that album. Wheels Are Turning. A lot of people will think, well, that's, I've gone, this isn't even in my top 5. That's how good REO Speedwagon is probably one of their biggest hit albums, isn't even in my top 5. But this has the perennial hit, Can't Fight This Feeling. So, and one of my favorite tunes, One Lonely Night. What a great video. Watch that. Google, YouTube One Lonely Night and watch the video for that. It's clever. I love it. You think it's about one lonely night. Well, it is about one lonely night. Actually, a knight in shining armor. It's pretty funny. Live Every Moment. Top 5 REO tune in my life. Live Every Moment. Just such a great message to just live every moment. And I love that. I can listen to that all day. Wheels Are Turning. I Don't Want to Know. Another funny video. I Don't Want to Know. We've talked about all of those. Okay, let's move on to their most recent album. I dug this album. Find Your Own Way Home. What a great song. What a great song. I Needed to Fall. Oh, the acoustic version they do on YouTube of that is just beautiful. Born to Love You. Everything You Feel. Everything You Feel is my favorite song on this. This harkens back to those classic REO tunes like Don't Let Him Go and Keep the Fire Burning. Everything You Feel just as cool. I think that would have been a top 10 hit had it come out, in the 80s also. But instead, this came out in the mid-2000s or something. Still a great, great, great album. I love that cover too. So sophisticated, so well designed, so lovely. 9 Lives. This is REO Speedwagon's heavy hitter. This album has nothing but heavy, grinding, crunchy rock and roll. This can almost be like a heavy metal. I mean, this album competes with a lot of the heavy bands of the time. Meet Me on the Mountain, great song. What are some of the others? Take Me, Rock and Roll Music, Easy Money, Only the Strong Survive. Back on the Road Again, the one that Bruce Hall sings. Their bass player, Bruce Hall, he does vocals once in a while. Back on the Road Again. That song gets people up and out of their seats and clapping during concerts. Back on the Road Again. Good job, Bruce Hall. And while I'm mentioning everybody, let me just mention Neil Doty, Alan Gratzer, Kevin Cronin, Bruce Hall, and the main Gary Richrath. Those were the guys. That's the band right there that you see. Those are the original. Those, to me, that's REO Speedwagon. No offense to Dave Amato and Brian Hitt, who have taken over for Gary Richrath and Alan Gratzer. But you guys are doing an awesome job in their place. But I love this original lineup. That's the one I grew up with. Now, if you go see REO Speedwagon today, 2 of those guys aren't going to be there. It's going to be Dave Amato and Brian Hitt, and those guys are awesome too. I also follow them on Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff. All of them great guys. Good job, you guys. Just a shout out to all the band members. 9 Lives. That was a great album. I loved that. You can tune a piano, but you can't tune a fish. Yeah, that's a little corny, but it's got some of the greatest songs they've ever done. Time for Me to Fly, Roll with the Changes, Say You Love Me or Say Goodnight. Listen to that song and it will get stuck in your head for the rest of eternity. Lucky for You, Blazing Your Own Trail Again. The Unidentified Flying Tuna Trot. Hey, Gary Richrath, he can wail on the guitar. He was a great guitar player. I love that guy. You can tune a piano, but you can't tune a fish. That's my number 3 favorite one, where it's the top 3. Doo-doo-doo. Number 2, Good Trouble. Oh, that's going to surprise a lot of you, because a lot of people, including the band themselves, think that this is one of their weaker efforts. And I think they're all out of their minds. I think this is one of their best efforts. In fact, I think it's their second best effort. This is the album that came out right after their big, huge hit, High Infidelity. And if you watch any of the VH1 Behind the Musics, Kevin Cronin says, we rushed this album out. Didn't really turn out the way we wanted. But I mean, with all due respect, Kevin, this is one of the best. This is just a great album. Every song on it is solid. And I think that it's good enough to be my number 2. Good Trouble, Keep the Fire Burning. Let me see what some of the other ones are. Every Now and Then, that's a great rockin' song. I'll Follow You, Girl with the Heart of Gold. The Key was a great single. Stillness of the Night, that's a rockin' song, guys. That's a rockin' song. This is a great album. My number 2 favorite one. I mean, honestly, I looked forward to this. I was just a little kid before this, and I was looking forward to this album coming out, and maybe that's why it holds a special place in my heart, because I kind of was anticipating the release of this for about a year. So when it hit the shelves, I was jazzed. Good Trouble, my number 1 favorite, and I think it's everyone's number 1 favorite. I think it's even the band's number 1 favorite. And the numbers say, there's gold selling albums which sell 250,000 copies. There's platinum selling albums which sell 1 million copies. And then there's diamond albums which sell like 10 to 15 million. And High Infidelity is a diamond album. It sold a lot of copies. It was their breakout hit. I mean, what was that, 1980 that this thing came out? Keep On Loving You, Don't Let Him Go, Take It on the Run, In Your Letter, Tough Guys, Shaking It Loose, Out of Season, I Wish You Were There, Follow My Heart. Follow My Heart, oh my gosh, that song wails. That song just will blow your speakers out. And Kevin Cronin's vocals are just mad good on those, mad good. Kevin Cronin just killed it with the vocals on this. You know, him and Gary Richrath, they're writing, I mean, this is the epitome of REO Speedwagon. And I'm going to tell you, I was just a little kid when this came out, and I heard Take It on the Run on the radio. It was that hook. Heard it from a friend who heard it from a friend who heard it from another. For a little kid, that was the coolest thing I'd ever heard. I had to get this album. I had never once spent my own money to go to the record store and buy an album before. And REO Speedwagon was the one that got me out of the chair to the record store with my own hard-earned money to buy an album, and I was just a small kid. But I listened to this thing for 2 years. It was the only album I had at the time, and I listened to it a lot. I could just quote every line of every song on this because it's just... It's ingrained in my head, you know, brainwashed with REO Speedwagon at a small age. And I love this band. This is my favorite album of all of theirs. It's probably the favorite album of many of you. So, REO Speedwagon ranked all of their albums. Love the band. Thank you, Kevin Cronin, Neil Doty, Bruce Hall, Gary Richrath, Alan Gratzer, Dave Amato, and Brian Hitt, and everybody else who's ever been a part of REO Speedwagon. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for creating such fantastic music over the years that I have listened to and enjoy, and it brought so much joy to my life and so many others. You guys are awesome. REO Speedwagon ranked